I woke up this morning to shots flying across the bow from everywhere. Bow, bow, bow. Everyone is talking about this DeenTheGreat and Misfits situation. Right? Now, if you haven't been clued in the last, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, I'll try to summarize it. Deen and Adam Sala were supposed to have a spar fight. We'll get to that on Aiden Ross's stream. And obviously, because DeenTheGreat is the champion of the lightweight division at Misfits, you'd have to assume that there are some contractual obligations that won't allow him to do that, especially when we talk about what potentially could have been going on there with money or not money and spar versus fight. It looked very clear that this was more than just a spar based on the overwhelming evidence of continual little leaks and messages here and there that this was at least a little bit more than a spar. So Deen has denied this, and there has been a tear, a rift between him and Misfits. And it's not just Deen versus Misfits, it's now Deen versus Ams Taylor, Deen versus KSI, Deen versus Keemstar. Deen could not do this spar, and it's since been canceled, fight, whatever you want to call it, because he's under contract. And Aiden has then been hit with at least a threat of criminal charges, which I don't really understand how that would work. But apparently the IBA got involved, International Boxing Association, yada, yada. Today, a space went down with Deen, Keem, Adam, Mams in it. And there's just a lot that's coming out of this. So what we'll do first is hear Keemstar's thoughts on what's going on here. This is before the space this morning.
Because I'm looking at this situation where KSI's, his family's getting doxxed and harassed. His management's getting doxxed and harassed.
I know, right? It's on the anniversary of Have Fun on Kingpin. That this is all happening, which is hilarious.
All these horrible things are happening. Aiden's getting potentially sued, all right? And now potential criminal charges with the no commission stuff. I'm looking at this mess, and I'm like, why is this happening? Because it's not Aiden Ross's fault. It's not. Aiden Ross was lied to and told that DeenTheGreat wasn't in any contract with Misfits, and then after it gets announced, then Deen's like, oh yeah, I guess I am in a multi-fight deal. Oh yeah. It's not Aiden's fault. There's one person to blame. DeenTheGreat. You lied, bro.
I don't want to see Aiden and KSI dap it up and be friends here, just because I like the competition of Aiden and Misfits potentially doing something. That's just as a fan, but I do think that they should get together and say, hey, listen, this whole Deen thing, it could be cleared up like this. Super simple. And that's another thing, too, is like, it's not necessarily Aiden's responsibility to reach over across the aisle, not necessarily Misfits to reach over on their side. But if they would, or if they do now, it's going to have one result and one result only. And I hate this because, again, Deen has been a fantastic fighter in this scene. I like the guy. But it's going to be exactly what Keem's saying. It's going to show that all of this stuff comes down to Deen not communicating. My personal experience, when Kingpin came to me with an offer of riches, of gold, I went to Misfits and Mams right away. Because that's the right thing to do, at least in my case. But for the other fighters, for Kenny, for Slim, for those guys, there were protocols in place for them to say, you know what, yeah, you can go do this. Here's how we do it, you know, yada, yada. I honestly think if that would have happened, we're not even sitting here today talking about any of this. But let's try to get through this Twitter space, and maybe we'll get some more context as to what is the final verdict on this thing, because I feel like we're going in circles at this point. Like, Deen said his piece, Misfits said their piece. At this point, it's who do you believe? This is going to be what Twitter spaces are, which is a whole lot of fucking chaos, but let's just try to lock in here.
You lied, you manipulated the whole people to make me look like the villain. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
What do you lie about? What do you lie about? What do you lie about?
Stop it, Adam.
Deen, you know you could have spoke to Misfits.
Stop
you know
it,
that?
Adam.
Really, this is a joke, bro. You're a dumbass.
I haven't had a talk with Misfits, whatever, since December. That was the last phone call I've ever had with them. When this whole thing sprung about, when you were on Slim's kick, and I was like, yo, let's make the spar happen.
Keem said what?
You were like, yeah, bro. We can fight. We can do it on Aiden's stream. We can do it on Aiden's stream. Yeah. So when I went on Twitter and I was like, yo, Aiden, make the fight happen, blah, 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 send the contract. Nigga, there's no fucking contract. There's no fucking 5-figure fee. You lied about the whole thing. Like, bro,
so there is no 5-figure fee. Fee 5-figure fee. Obviously, the monetary stuff is a big deal, but from the outside looking in, let's just rewind it to this moment right here. When all this stuff is happening public, it's in the contract. 5-figure fee graphics going out. We're having this fight. We're having this spar, whatever. All these things, right? There was, at least to my knowledge, if there's no communication with Misfits and all this stuff's happening and they're seeing this from the outside looking in, you have to, on their end, believe that something's going down here. And you're wondering why there's been no communication. And I assume start the communication. These things publicly look like we're having a fight. Whether that's the truth or not, whether it's promotion or not. And again, we saw the lawsuit that Aiden Ross dropped. And it said in the bold lettering there that Misfits has the exclusive promotional rights to Deen in his name when in regards to fighting. And whether you want to say that's promotion or not, it is promoting what to the public looks like a fight with contracts and potential money being involved. So that's where I think the little, and maybe there's rifts started from even before this, because we saw this, and we'll get to it in a second, but if this is true, this is not good either. Via Adam Solid Twitter space, Mams Taylor stated that DeenTheGreat attempted to secure a multi-million-dollar contract with Most Valuable Promotions while already under contract. You can't, that's not good either. If you're negotiating while already under contract, and I don't think there's an open negotiation phase there, then that's probably not a good thing either.
There's no 5-figure fee. There's no contract.
Bro, we heard you. We heard you. You're repeating yourself. Stop repeating yourself. We heard you.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up, nigga.
Did you ask? No, I ain't gonna shut up. Let me ask you a question, motherfucker.
I got a bro.
Dude, Keemstar talking is one of the funniest people ever. I don't know why. He's like, no, I'm going to talk. You listen to me, you motherfucker.
Did you tell Aiden Ross that you were under contract? Did you? Answer the question. Did you tell Aiden Ross you were under contract?
Yes.
Did you? Did you? When? When did you tell him that?
I did.
When did you tell him you were under contract? When? When?
They know.
It's a big point. This is a bit of a crux in the argument of Deen. Like, if Aiden didn't know that he was under contract when he was talking with Deen and Adam and he was trying to make this fight, spar, whatever you want to call it, and Deen conveniently left that out, that's another reason that, again, you kind of have to look at Deen and say, what are we doing?
When?
From the start.
After you got the lawsuit.
You idiot.
Nah, you didn't tell him from the start. You didn't tell him from the start.
There's no breach of contract for doing an entertainment spar. There's no contract.
You did not tell him from the start. You weren't honest.
No 5-figure fee.
And I don't even know if that, I don't disagree with Deen there. If this had been set up as a spar on someone's YouTube channel, again, we've been over this, and Mams would have been notified about it because that's who he is under contract with. Whether he likes that or not, that's the case. I don't think there would have been a problem with it. I don't think that there would have been any of this. And honestly, I don't think that would have been a breach of contract for him to just spar someone. But it's the promotion of said. It is the gray area between what this thing really was and the lack of communication from Deen to Misfits. And then vice versa, when it just all fell apart, Misfits said, fuck it, we're sending the law.
We're not getting paid. There's nothing in breach that I was doing.
I talked to Tav. I talked to Tav. You lying through your fucking teeth. You never told him that you were in a contract. You're a fucking liar.
Deen a flake.
Fucking Deen the cat machine, bro.
The problem is Keem knows everyone. He knows and speaks with everyone. If there is something you're hiding, or something you're not being honest about, and it's public, or at least you've said it to someone, he's going to find out.
Deen, you're repeating yourself. Why did you lie to everybody in this room? Why did you lie to everybody in this room? You lied to everyone in this room, and you said, I didn't talk to Misfits since December. That's a lie. You talked to Misfits in January. You talked to Misfits in January about your contract being extended because of your injury.
What are you talking about?
So why do you just...
This is an interesting part of this entire thing. If they were having discussions back and forth about how long the contract was at this point based on Deen's injury, there's, again, back in January, that seems to me like there was already some splitting of hairs going on between the two of them, and I don't know over what or who's not happy on what side, but that's what it seems.
We never had to talk about my injury being extended, bro. What are you talking about?
Yes, you did.
No,
you got emailed.
No, we
literally, there's a record of it. You got the email, and you had the conversation with Mams Taylor in January. But you're gonna tell everyone I haven't talked to anyone in Misfits since December. That's another lie.
He did it in the fucking drama alert, boy.
I got a response with the lawsuit. I told Mams what it was. I told Misfits what it was, and I got a response with a lawsuit, bro.
Okay, so Deen's saying he told Mams what was happening, and then he got a response with a lawsuit. Timeline-wise, I would like to see when Deen told Mams what it was. Did he tell Mams what it was before all this stuff started coming out publicly about what Deen was doing? Send the contract and do all this and that? Or was it after those things when public perception was that Deen was going to go fight or spar, whatever, on Aiden's thing.
When we were going back and forth originally, when we first got on the call with Aiden, I got a text message asking, what the fuck is up with this contract bullshit, blah, blah, blah. When I told Aiden on the tweet, send the contract. I responded back and I told him, I said, no, there's no contract. That was just for promo.
Do we know what's just happened? Did anyone just hear what I just heard? Yes, Deen means to say we were promoting a spar, but again, publicly, and even as he's saying this to Mams Taylor, he's using words like promo. This is against, even if you want to wiggle through this and use some loopholes in contracts, this is, at least on the surface of it, against what his contract says he can do. He can't even promote that kind of stuff. Let's read it together as a family. This office has been retained by Wasserman Boxing Limited in regards to exclusive promotional rights to the boxer, Deen's name, a.k.a. DeenTheGreat. These exclusive rights have been extended to combat sports activities, including exhibitions. This is what I'm saying to you guys. If this is in Deen's contract, this says nothing about just fights, just sanctioned fights. This is combat sports activities, including exhibitions. Now, I don't know that Deen even knows what that means, but essentially it means Deen cannot promote him doing things, even if it is just a spar, technically, without the blessing of Misfits, as they own exclusive rights to the promotional value of Deen's name.
No response. I got an email response and a text message response to the lawsuit. And so you tell me how the fuck you'd feel about that.
So Deen says after the whole thing went down, he texted Mams. Mams didn't respond. He called Mams. Mams didn't respond. That I will put in the court of Mams and say, listen, you probably should pick up the phone there, right? If Deen is trying to reach out, if he's texting you, he's calling you, you got to pick up the phone. But again, I don't know where we're at in the timeline, so it could just be that Mams is fucking fed up at this point.
And the only time I ever got a fucking call from Misfits, the last time I had a fucking phone call from Misfits is when they see me with Jake Paul. Oh, what's going on? That was the last time I had a fucking phone call from them.
See, here's the thing. First off, doing the impression of Misfits going, oh, what's going on? When they're calling you about why you're doing stuff with Jake is not the way you address this. And again, I know he's upset, so he's speaking out here, but and Misfits has every right to call him on that and say, hey, what are we doing here? I don't know if Deen just doesn't see that. And maybe, again, they're reading too much into it, but they have to do that. You are their fighter. You are their champion. It is not a great look on their part if their champion is dapping it up with MVP. And by the way, MVP is sitting back in this whole thing. Most Valuable Promotions is sitting back right now, feet kicked up. Yes, y'all are getting them for free. Bow, kicked up. Watching this whole thing burn. They're low-key the ones in the background watching this thing happen and just going, excellent.
Deen. All right. I'm going to talk real quick, and then I'm going to pop off.
Oh, there you go. I haven't got a call.
Hold on, Deen. First of all, the last time I called you was telling you've
been going on Twitter Spaces telling people you've been calling me, and every time you call me, I say my hand is injured. Mams, you haven't called me since you see me.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I called you.
Mams is gonna go off here, right? And maybe he's just fed up. And he's like, fuck it, we're gonna do this. But I gotta say this right now. And people aren't going to like this, but I gotta say it. Mams should not be doing this. I don't think Mams should be the one that goes crazy here on Deen. I don't like this stuff for Mams because I know that he has to be fed up. I know that whatever's going on here has probably just pushed him to his last fucking patient, whatever. His patience is wearing thin. But this is the fight game. And when you are in the fight game, you have to deal with the most sensitive and the most erratic and the most all over the place personalities and fighters. And I understand that when someone lies about the company, I get that. But I don't know if the Twitter space thing is the place to do it.
You haven't called me since you see me with Jake Paul, bro. Come on,
that's another lie, and I'll get my phone records to prove that.
You haven't called me since you see me with Jake Paul, man.
I called you to tell you stop moving crazy and causing drama and trouble.
Nobody caused drama. I went to a fight.
Hold on. I'm talking a month. I'm talking months.
And it's crazy how the first time I'm hearing your voice is on a Twitter space. The only time you're responding to me is when you're liking kids' tweets.
Hold on.
Come on,
Listen to me.
Where's the respect there?
You don't have any.
Deen said the first time you responded to me is on Twitter Space and liking kids' tweets. So again, Deen feels like he hasn't been talked to. The open line of communication is been cut between both of them. Mams feels like he doesn't have to talk to Deen. Deen doesn't feel like he has to talk to Mams.
You are completely have zero principles. You don't understand what respect is. You think you're gonna be clever and you'll get one up in life. But what happens is it catches up with you. Because not only are there a line of people that have come to me since this and told me unbelievably shocking stuff about your character, about things you've done. And I'm not even going to go there, but I'm going to tell you, you lie on me one more time and it's all coming out.
Lie on you about ma'ams.
Everything, even on this phone.
What did I lie about?
Ooh, he's going crazy. Mams is talking about what people have told him about Deen, his own experience with Deen, and it's all coming out. And yes, it's for the entertainment value. Wow, what the? Oh my God, he's going off. Cook. You know what I mean? But again, to me, it comes off like he's hurt. But I don't like the back and forth in the Twitter space for Bams here. I think that again, I obviously everyone's saying at this point it should have been done public, or it should have been done privately, not publicly. But
what I lied about, Mams. Tell me what I lied about.
The last time you called me was to check me about Jake. No,
that was the last time. That was the last time you called me, bro.
I spoke to you.
Was that not the last time I called you,
One
bro?
phone call.
I called you 3 months.
The last time you called me.
I saw you after that, and I called you after that as well. I saw you in Leeds, and I called you, after that and said, "Hey man, I hear about this drama going on. You're a champ. You need to compose yourself different. I know you didn't grow up. We both had, troubled pasts and stuff, but we have to use that to overcome. Stop thinking everyone's gonna fuck you over." I gave you advice. I said, "Listen, I'm here. You can talk to me instead of jumping on everyone and trying to make these wrong moves." I've been very, very good to you. You forgot about that call, huh? But you want to just bring up...
Ma'am, you sent a voice note. That was a voice note. That wasn't a phone call. Stop it.
This is the thing, though. What Mam said right there is how a professional handles business. That's how a professional does it. And then Deen says that wasn't a call, it was a voice note. I don't know if Deen gets it, man. He's not, and I use this reference with you guys a lot, he's not seeing the forest for the trees. He is looking at the stuff that's happening right now and not understanding why it's happening. I don't know how he doesn't see it, but these are attempts to reach out to him to say, listen, what you're doing is going to lead you to a path where we can't communicate. That almost seems like Deen doesn't want to hear it. Like, it's almost like he just doesn't, like, whatever.
That phone call that Jake Paul fights were, mid-December? The second time you reached out to me was when you seen MVP.
I saw you in Leeds.
When you seen MVP post me on their page, then you
call
me.
I know when I get a call. When I get a call about how you were trying to get a multi-million-dollar deal with them to fight.
Let's be real, bro. Let's be real, bro. You hit me after you see.
If I'm Mams, I'm a little concerned with that too. Deen's saying I just went to a fight, but if I got a call, and I don't know who called him, how real it is, because I don't believe that MVP was talking multi-million-dollar fights with Deen. Again, fair play to MVP. They may have leaked that information, all again to cause dissension in the ranks of Misfits. It's a great play from the other side. You can say you don't like it. It's whatever. It's a great play from them. That's why you got to communicate.
You're now saying, and I've heard that you were never going to fight and you just wanted clout. So one of your best friends is saying that, right? So is that the case?
Saying what? Saying what?
That's what Chase was saying. Chase
was saying what?
On his tweet.
That you had no plans to fight Adam Sella. You were just doing this for class.
He didn't fucking say that. No, the fuck he did. Stop stirring up the words and trying to manipulate people to agree with you, bro.
You're a scumbag,
bro.
Either way, listen.
What did Chase say? The entire boxing community, influencer boxing community needs to chill on DeenTheGreat. You can't criminalize someone for not doing anything. He didn't fight. To anyone who has done things to gain clout or a following, you especially cannot speak. Bro had an idea on how to grow his own brand and nothing more. I understand where Chase is coming from here. He's like, okay, listen, Deen wanted to grow his platform by being on Aiden's thing. Fine, that's okay. No one is demonizing Deen for trying to grow his platform. The demonization of Deen has come from Deen himself not communicating to Misfits and acting as though the things that he's doing, he has no issues with on their side. He's like, oh, it's fine. It's no big deal. And when it becomes a big deal, having to then revert back to, well, it was just a spar. It was a spar. And again, this whole time, not communicating with Misfits. Again, it comes down to that C word that's not the one you guys use in the UK, communication. But yeah, Chase is saying he's doing it for clout.
You were a champ. You were treated with respect. KSI gave you love. I gave you love.
Respect, ma'am. The only time you hit
let me tell you. That's such bullshit. That's such bullshit. We spoke all the time.
And let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. You said that you had receipts of me talking shit about Misfits at Jake Paul thing.
I do.
I said, okay, where's the receipts?
You'll see.
Okay. Where's the receipts? You said, oh, they said I have to wait 2 weeks to give you, bro. Come on, man.
No, Dean. I have the receipts, and they will all come out in the next 2 weeks.
All right.
Everything.
Send the receipts, please. You never
and also,
okay, so this is a big deal right here. Now Mams is saying that Deen was talking that ish about Misfits while he was over at Jake's event, and that the proof will come out in the coming weeks. So now Mams could have misheard him there and just heard you have receipts and me talking shit about Misfits, but Deen did say at Jake Paul's event. But if he's saying that again at Jake's event to Jake's people around them, that's a fucking bad look.
I'll tell you this. I've never had. This is the most one-sided shit, and all you needed to do, so I didn't find it out on Twitter, is call and say, hey man, I've got this opportunity. Slim, this is what happened with Slim. Slim called me and said, hey man, what do you think about this Kingpin thing? I said, bro, they're offering incredible money. We should do it. I negotiated the deal for Slim.
Bro, I have to contact you.
Listen.
The way Mams verbalizes what he said with Slim is exactly the way he verbalized it with me when it came to... It was a little different because he was going to help Slim in the Kingpin tournament. He basically told me if I do it, I can't come back. But he told me in the exact same terms. I can't match this. It's a great deal. That kind of thing. But Deen is like, oh, I got to tell you about a spar? Yes, when you are promoting it as if it is an event. Let's just use that. If it's an event, you're promoting it as if it is an event versus I'm just going to go spar Adam Saleh, piece him up. Cool. When you are promoting it as if it is an event where multiple 100,000 people are going to watch, if he tells Mams and says, hey, I'm going to go do this, or I want to go do this, and there's going to be 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 people watching, I don't have a U.S. audience like that. I really think this can help build my U.S. audience. And because me and Adam aren't going to fight on Misfits, like whatever the reason was, I can still get that fight. Mams, I can beat him. And even if I don't beat him, whatever, it's going to be massive exposure. It's a little risky, I understand, but you got to trust me on this one. Whatever, right? You're done. It's over. Mams is like, oh, okay, you know, whatever. If he comes back with, hey, maybe we don't do that, but we can do this. But it's because none of that happened that we're in this position. I said it. I keep saying it over and over. But that falls on Deen's shoulders, man. It does. It does.
There are receipts. Yeah, they'll probably come out today.
Listen, I'm not going to waste my time. You're a liar, and you can't change until you start looking in the mirror and say, shit, I can't lie to everyone. I'm going to get caught. That's all there is to it.
People before calling your champ, right? You've been on Twitter telling people
calling my champ. Listen,
me.
when you disrespect us that much,
I texted you and I told you what the spar was. I told you what was going on. Your response. Your immediate.
You moved the goalposts. You moved the goal.
True colors, bro.
You moved
your immediate response.
That's my true colors,
bro.
First of all, I'm partners with Wasser.
It should have been more respect. Hey, Deen, what's going on, bro?
That whole sentence, that whole thing right here from Deen is just him lighting up the flame and just putting it to that bridge and burning it. Like he's like, you're talking to everybody but me. You didn't call your fighter. You didn't call your champ when Deen is guilty of doing the same thing and not aware that that's exactly what he's done in this situation. And he is the one that has initiated anything outside of what could potentially be his contract. I'm not mad that he feels a certain way about Mams, and Deen genuinely feels like that. You know, I 100% agree that he feels like he's been burned here, but he's not looking at the fact that he's the one that initiated all this. And it is incumbent upon him to reach out and get this taken care of. It's so goddamn simple.
No, it's just about respect. If I was a
bro.
Dean, shut the fuck up and listen. If I was a janitor,
that right there is why I just said the bridge is burned. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of Mams handling it in this way, just because the way it makes him as a businessman, as a promoter look. But sometimes there's something to be said for just finally being fed up with it.
This was not a spar initially. We all know that. It moved the goalposts to get around and try to find legal loopholes, which still are not legal, okay, with the contract you have, and you didn't care. You didn't have enough respect to call anyone to ask about it. You just wanted clout.
Entertainment.
And I doubt you would have turned. I doubt you would have. I doubt. Listen with your ears and not your mouth.
If I grow, okay? Misfits grow.
If you no. That's not the conversation. It's about just calling them, speaking, and having communication.
Yo,
none of my fighters. You think you're. This didn't, Deen. I'm gonna leave you with this. This did not play out the way you. This did not play out the way you planned in your head, and now the consequences are upon you. That's the end of it.
Okay, it is what it is. If I'm such a, then drop me, bro.
Mams just lights him on fire there, straight up. And this is what I'll say. Deen made a mistake. Whether he lied knowingly or didn't know, only he will know that. And maybe the details of things that I don't have. But once that first mistake, once that first lie came out and it just was a snowball continually going downhill, this was always the road it was going to end at. This was always where it was going to end. It's why I said this was getting messy, and it hasn't looked good for Deen coming out of this. This has hurt his stock far more than it's helped, and I hate that for him because it didn't have to be this way. The things he wanted out of this spar, he could have got in one way or another. I truly believe that Mams Taylor could see the bigger picture of business and said, hey, even if it's not on Aiden's stream, I like this idea. Let's figure out a way to do it. And instead, we get to this point where the bridges are broken, burned, and you have to think, and I hate even saying this. I hate even saying you have to think. For Mams, yes, don't do this on Twitter Space, in my opinion. It's not a great look to always be squabbling with your fighters on Twitter Space. The lawsuit to Slim was also not a good look, in my opinion. I don't know why Slim got hit with a lawsuit. That was crazy too. But the things that Mams was saying behind the scenes for months that we find out in this call were the right. That's how you conduct business. That's where it should stay. And if there is a public response from Mams, I think a video form where he addresses all the points, no emotion, none of that. Boom, 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 boom. Interview with Fred, whatever, and move on. Because ultimately, this back and forth, it just makes Mams look like he's in the mud a little bit. It's like, oh, God, what are we doing here? We're supposed to be a professional, yada, yada. But regardless of how Mams looks, it doesn't seem like wrong. If you're watching this, Deen, you need to understand that not me or Mams, I don't know, you and Keemstar have your own thing. Not me, not Mams, not Aiden, not the people that actually care about you as a star, you as a fighter. None of us are out to get you. And I say us, not aligning myself with a team, but anyone that has an opinion on this situation that looks at this for what it clearly was, which is that Deen made countless lapses in judgment, countless errors in the way he went about At this point, you have to listen. You have to take in what people are saying, and that is communicate. Be open to discussion. Don't feel as if everyone is out to get you. That is not the case. You just have to understand that the people that you're in business with or want to be in business with will look at this call and will look at the way this whole situation went down. And now it's been months, and they will see that this is a headache. And the last person that people want to be in business with is someone that is a constant headache, someone that is a constant strain on the business relationship. And it's just one thing, one simple thing you have to fix because you got so much going for you, dog. You are a fantastic fighter. You have this charisma about you. You hop in this Twitter space and like, God damn, you still ain't come up for air yet? You got that. People are interested. I've seen so many things. Man, I really wish Deen was back on this. People want to see you fight. Don't burn that up and lose all of this because you're not willing to say I'm sorry or you're not willing to say I was wrong. So yeah, I don't know what happens here. For Deen's sake, man, I hope that it gets worked out in some way, shape, or fashion. But it's just an unfortunate lack of communication, and it's gotten to a point now where I don't know if the burnt bridge could be repaired. But I don't have those answers. So, Deen versus Misfits. Who wins? What happens? Guess we'll find out.